Alright, I'm going to be continuing in my series on Nietzsche's Thus book, Zarathustra, and we're going to be in still part 1, section 8, which is called On the Tree on the Mountainside. Kaufman doesn't really, sometimes Kaufman has a little bit of a thing on the front here, which kind of gives you some kind of insight into what he's saying, given that what he writes here can often be abstract and difficult to talk about or think about, but the last couple ones he hasn't really given anything, so I've kind of read some secondary resources on this book and thought about it a good bit before I've been making this video and the next one. But On the Tree on the Mountainside pretty much is advice for youth. It's really what it is. On the Tree on the Mountainside, it's advice for young people who are hopeless in their life. He says, if I wanted to shake this tree with my hands, I should not be able to do it. But the wind, which we do not see, tortures and bends it in whatever direction it pleases. It is by invisible hands that we are bent and tortured worst. That is like kind of difficult to pin down itself. But what we're talking about here is there is a tree. Think of a tree that is literally on a mountain, and how that is above all of society, above all of human civilization. How a tree on a mountainside is above everything, and that's kind of the point that Nietzsche is trying to drive home. That as a man, as a youth, as a person in general, you have to be like that tree on the mountainside. In that, this is again kind of coming back to the overman or the Übermensch. It's coming back to the same thing. And he's saying what he thinks in very different ways, and often throwing a bunch of other stuff, minor points in there. There's definitely a lot more as we're not even that far through this book. I mean, I've read the whole thing, but on this series with you on this channel, I haven't gone very far with you. This is as far as we are at this point, but we'll get there. There's four parts in this book, and so the whole thing is, with the Overman or the Übermensch, is that you can make of yourself, and in this world, a new creation. You can create yourself rather than acquiescing to some kind of what he thinks is a created being that is outside this world that we have to bend ourselves to. So that's kind of where he's at. He's looking. Basically, man is people. I've said this before in different ways. A man is someone who's going to acquiesce towards the path of least resistance, or he's going to take the path that is the easiest and with the least sufferings, and do what everybody else is doing, conform. Nietzsche's, saying, at least in this first part, it gets different, but at least in this first part, he's talking about how you can, as a person, you can do more than this stuff that they're feeding you, this stuff about a God that is beyond this world, or a afterlife that is beyond this world. Personally, I don't agree with Nietzsche, but I think there's something to what he's saying here, because I think that there are a lot of people, in my religion and also outside of it, that look towards a afterlife and don't even think about this one, and they don't think that they can enjoy this one. I'm a Christian, and I do look towards the afterlife, but I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on the right now, and I'm focused on pressing on into the future. And I haven't renounced this world. I haven't renounced this life. I haven't written off being happy and being joyful in this life. I can make a new creation, in my opinion, through the God that I worship, I can make a new creation through him. But Nietzsche is saying that, I guess me talking about religion is getting way beside the point. But he's saying that thinking about any kind of outside power, outside life, outside anything that is other than this world is ludicrous, and that you don't have to eat what they're feeding you. You don't have to take what they're feeding you, and if they feed you religion or being unhappy now to wait for the next world, you don't have to take what they're feeding you, and you can be like the tree on the mountainside in that you can be the overman or the Übermensch, be above them and make a new creation in you. He says, "This tree stands lonely here in the mountains. It grew high above man and beast, and if it wanted to speak, it would have nobody who could understand it. So high has it grown. Now it waits and waits. For what is it waiting? It dwells too near the seat of the clouds. Surely it waits for the first lightning." So he's kind of talking to this youth, this young person who has lost hope for his life, and is basically in woe and kind of pity a little bit about the evils of this world and stuff that he's kind of gone through. And Nietzsche's kind of saying to him, you can rise above all this. You are not yet free. You still search for freedom. Once they thought of becoming heroes. Now they are voluptuaries. But by my love and hope, I beseech you, do not throw away the hero in your soul. Hold holy your highest hope. So this young person is gonna try and distance himself from this world, because he doesn't see any hope in it. He's gonna try to find something else in getting away from it. And in a way, Nietzsche is agreeing with getting away from this world, but he's saying to him, do not lose hope of what your life can be. Sorry this video is a little longer than my ones for Nietzsche usually are, but that one is kind of abstract and needed to be talked about a little more. And I'll see you on the next one.